Hello everybody, my name is KRYPTIK and welcome back to another video. Today what we're going to be doing is taking a look at all the specialists in Black Ops 3. So essentially what I'm going to be doing is talking to you guys about these characters, making that comparison between a few of them, showing you guys which ones are the best to use online. Okay guys, so first we're going to have a look at the specialist Brueck. So this is one of the first specialists that you unlock. Now you have the opportunity to use gravity spikes or overdrive. Now we're going to take a look at the gravity spikes. So as you guys know, they can be initiated while airborne or on the ground. Now one thing I can say about these is they are actually very effective in a small area when you're clearing a room or an objective. However, it does make you vulnerable when you're in the air trying to initiate these powers, so you can die and lose a kill streak. Now if we move on to the second power that you can unlock whilst using the specialist Ruin, it's actually called Overdrive. Now this can be effective dependent on your playing style. It depends what map you're playing on, but usually on Black Ops 3 a lot of them have these channels on the right or the left. So it does work pretty effectively as it lets you get behind the enemy. They don't know that you're coming from behind. As you can see top left in this clip, all my teammates are on the complete opposite side of the map, and I've managed to take these two people out due to the fact I'm using this specialist. So now if we move on to the Outrider, we can actually look at my favourite specialist of the lot. Now as you guys know, enemies are killed on contact by arrows and then they explode shortly after, so it can actually open an opportunity for you to get multiple kills with just one shot. So as you guys can probably guess, the further you draw it back, the more power you get behind your arrow and the straighter the shot. Whereas if you just draw it back halfway, you can actually loop arrows over walls, which could be effective. However, it's better to pull it fully back and get that straight shot against your opponent. Now the second specialist bonus that comes with the Outrider is something called Vision Pulse. Now it's actually very handy if you're in sticky situations, you've got a high concentration of enemies in a small area. So for example, say you're in a building and there's a lot of enemies on your UAV, you don't know which way to engage, so if you use the Vision Pulse, it will show you which way they're facing, it can show you through walls, and it's a very good way of getting a massive advantage over your opponents. One disadvantage of this power though is that when enemies are scanned by your Vision Pulse, they are actually notified, so it kind of does give away that you're in that area. However, it's clear that you guys have a much better advantage over your opponents. Next we move on to the specialist called the Prophet. Now one of his abilities allows you to use a charged shot rifle. Now there are good things about this and pretty bad things about this as well. The fire rate's pretty low, however when you're shooting at someone it's slightly thicker than a bullet, the beam pulse that goes out, so you don't have to be as accurate. Also one other advantage of this is that electricity can jump from an opponent that you shot to another enemy, however they have to be very close for this to be effective. Another disadvantage of this gun is once you've pulled the trigger, that's it, you have to shoot, which does waste some of the energy as you can see on the bottom right. However, in comparison to the Outrider, once you've drawn an arrow, you can actually bring it back, so it makes it slightly more versatile. However, this is very effective. Now another ability that comes with the Prophet is something called Glitch. Now this ability allows you to jump back to your previous position within the past couple of seconds. So it can be very effective if you turn a corner and you're outnumbered. Say someone's calling an airstrike on your position as well, you can jump backwards and get away. Also if you're being chased, you can also glitch back to where you were behind the enemy and be able to take them out, which is a pretty decent way in which you can use this power. Okay guys, so next we're going to take a look at the specialist called Battery. Now as you may remember from Black Ops 2, the War Machine was actually a very effective kill streak. Now one difference between the War Machine on Black Ops 2 and this War Machine is that this one actually fires a massive shell that splits on impact into 3 live bombs that detonate on impact as well. So that gives you a slight advantage as it spreads out the radius and could make the damage more effective. Although this may be the case, I wouldn't actually recommend for you guys to use this online, given that enemies shooting at you from long to medium distances will always have an advantage over you if you're using this specialist bonus. Next we move on to the Kinetic Armor that is available with the Specialist Battery. Now, it is capable of deflecting several direct bullet hits before powering down. However, it does not offer protection against melee, explosive or headshot damage, which is a pretty big disadvantage. So at the moment I'm letting these guys shoot me so you guys can see how many bullets this thing can take before it powers down. Alright guys, so next we're going to move on to the specialist called Seraph. Now she offers another weapon that you guys can use once you've unlocked her specialist score streak, which is called the Annihilator, which essentially is a massive high caliber revolver that fires devastating rounds with increased bullet penetration. Now as you can see, it's actually got quite a decent range on it, however the sights are pretty crowded, so what you want to do is go from medium to close range with this gun, definitely. Now another advantage of this weapon is it actually does massive damage to enemy score streaks. So if you guys see an enemy kill streak roaming around the map, then it would be good to put a couple of rounds into it with the Annihilator, as it will definitely have an effect and help your teammates out. Next we're going to move on to Combat Focus, which is another specialist ability available with Seraph. Now essentially what this does, it actually gives you pretty much double points for a couple of seconds. Now as you can see on the right, it's actually very effective in letting you guys reach higher score streaks. So say you're going for the mothership or something like that, this would be a very good specialist bonus to have. Next we're going to move on to the specialist called Nomad. Now his abilities definitely suit your style of play. So let's take a look at the first ability he has, which is called Hive. So essentially what you guys are doing when you're using this kill streak is planting multiple claymores, or if you hit an enemy directly you'll get a kill straight away. Now one good thing about this specialist bonus is that the hive pods actually stick to anything. However, one disadvantage is they actually have to be stuck to the wall for a couple of seconds before they can be triggered by an enemy or a kill streak. Another advantage of this kill streak is that they'll actually stay there until they've either killed an enemy or the host dies. So if you guys shoot a pod against the wall and it hasn't killed an enemy and you're still running around the map, it will stay there until it either kills an enemy or you guys get shot. Next we're going to take a look at the specialist bonus Rejack, which is available with Nomad as well as Hive. Now personally guys, I would say this is actually one of the worst ones that you can use. The reason being that if you do die, your death still counts statistically, you lose all your score streak progress. Also, if you don't choose to rejack, you will lose partial energy of your specialist bonus. So for example, if you die and then you think I'm surrounded by enemies, there's no way this is going to be useful if I get up, it will still take away some of the power that you have earned with your specialist bonus. Another disadvantage of this is it's very obvious that you have this equipped. Now I say this because when you do die, a massive area of green smoke surrounds you, so that enemies can expect you to respawn. So they could pre-fire and you can respawn straight into heavy fire and die straight away. Next we're going to take a look at the Reaper. Now this guy is up there with my favourite specialists available. The reason being that his scythe ability is so overpowered and so much fun to use. So essentially what the scythe is a minigun that transforms from the arm, which looks really cool and delivers high damage in like quite a tight cone of fire. So what I mean by that is that the radius of the shot is quite small, so you guys are going to have to be pretty accurate when using it. So one disadvantage of this is that the minigun has to be spun up with LT for a short time before firing. However, if you compare this to normal gameplay, that essentially is you looking down your sights before you shoot. Now one tip I would give you guys is to pre-spin before you go round a corner or when you're expecting enemies to come round, because then the fire will be instantaneous. Now as you guys know, the Reaper actually moves slower while spinning or firing the scythe. This could be seen as a disadvantage, however you have got a lot of firepower behind you. So it depends on the situation you guys are in, but most of the time you should come out on top. Now one advantage of this specialist streak is it does have a high ammo capacity, so it does last for quite long. Now, as you may realise, the energy does disappear quicker when you're firing. However, when you're static and spinning, or you're moving without using the actual specialist bonus, it does actually stay there for quite a while. One of the main disadvantages of this scythe ability is that it doesn't actually have a silencer equipped. So as I said earlier, the specialist you choose really does depend on your playing style. For example, with the scythe you can't actually have a silencer on this, so if you want to go loud and take out enemies you can. However, if you want to stay undetected, sneak around the map, this wouldn't actually be the best specialist bonus for you guys to use. Next we move on to Psychosis. Now this thing is really annoying when playing online because it does confuse me quite a lot. You never know which target to go for, so essentially what it does is it releases multiple targets that all look exactly the same, so it basically gives you cover and you look exactly the same as them, so enemies can't really, tell which one you are. They have to kind of predict, so they could have their sights on a different enemy and then you can take them out from the side, so it is very useful. As I was saying earlier, if you are one of those stealthy players, Spectre is definitely the right specialist for you, as it gives you the opportunity to be invisible or have knives equipped. So if we look at the Ripper, which is the knife attachment that you guys can get on this specialist, it essentially gives you an arm upgrade that equips a lethal blade for an extended melee lunge. Now this thing is actually very decent if you're close up with enemies. Once it's active, it can be used while holding a weapon, which makes it quite versatile. It can be used quickly in chain melee attacks against multiple victims, which is very good. Also, a lock reptile appears on enemies that are in range, so if you guys don't know how far you can lunge, whether he's out of range, whether he's in range, a little reptile will appear on the back of the enemy or in front of the enemy, which will allow you guys to be notified like when you can go and actually attack them. Next we move on to the active camo. Now along with the specialist bonus Rejack that comes with Nomad, I would say that this is the second worst, or like on par with that. Now the reason I say this is because the active camo is really not effective online. As you can see in the gameplay that I've recorded, I'm playing against bots, so obviously they're not going to realise I'm there. Now I do kind of demonstrate the way in which you guys would have to use it to maximise its capability, and that would be sitting in corners. Now if you're not a fan of doing that, I would definitely not recommend this one for you. It's just not the best, it doesn't really camo you that much. If you're moving, it's very obvious as well. Once you shoot as well, you become normal again, so I wouldn't recommend using this one for you guys. Okay guys, so last we move on to Firebreak. Now this guy is absolutely sick. He has one of the best specialist bonuses ever. So if we have a look at the Purify, which is a flamethrower that projects a steady stream of heat which will incinerate your enemies within a close range. And when I say close range, I really do mean it. The medium and long ranges really does take away the effectiveness of this weapon. One advantage of this is it actually takes a very short time for the flame stream to reach its full length. So if you've got an enemy at medium to close range, if you hold it down for slightly longer, the flame stream should reach him just about. Also, you can clear rooms with this thing by sweeping one end to another, because it does spread around quite quickly and it's very effective as it kills enemies within seconds. Next we move on to Heatwave. Now this is the last specialist bonus we're going to look at out of all of the specialists we've looked at today. Now basically what it is a very powerful stun grenade that is emitted from you. As you can see on the gameplay I've showed you guys, it is very effective. However, I know I am playing against bots, so they are pretty clueless. So if we flip to the other side and look at what an enemy looks like when they've been stunned, as you can see it's quite blurry, it's quite a strong shock charge, however they can still shoot you through it. So I'd say the best way to use this is to be offensive very quickly, or use it to run away as quick as possible, stun your enemy and get out of a situation where you're outnumbered. Okay guys, so that's all of the specialists covered. Told you about all of the specialist abilities that each one comes with, giving you guys my opinion. You guys can put in the comments below which one you use the most. So as I said earlier, the Outrider is actually my favourite because the Vision Pulse is very effective and the Sparrow is very decent as well. However, I would recommend you guys give the Reaper a go if you guys are quite out there and don't use silencers and you're quite, an aggressive player. So that's it for today's video. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed, and this has given you some idea of which specialist would suit your playing style best. Don't forget to put in the comments below which one you guys use and which one you find most effective online. So that's it from me. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed this. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys next week with another video.